Hey guys, and welcome back to this week's video. So, after our last collaboration with Auxbeam, they reached out and asked if there's anything else they could help with. And we had a few ideas. So they sent us what's in this box. What I've got behind me is their 12 gang multifunction switch panel. It's RGB, it's remote controlled, and it's Bluetooth controlled as well. Now interestingly, this is something we really wanted when we were building the van, but at the time we couldn't really afford it with everything else because, you know, lithium. So it's going to be interesting trying to put this into a van that's already wired, because all our switches are up in that top corner and our fuse board is down in that bottom corner. So we've got a lot of wiring that goes across the top of the bed and then up that wall there, which obviously is going to have to change, and I'll explain why. But first, let's show you what's in the box. So first and foremost, you get your manual, then you get all your stickers to go on all your switch panels. You get your Auxbeam stickers. Now this is your remote control. Interestingly, I believe it's Bluetooth, or it might just be radio controlled, I'm not entirely sure. But obviously, numbers relate to each number on the keypad. Now this is your control panel, and you've got your 12 buttons. You can program these to do momentary, so it'll just flash something. You can do standard click on, click off, or you can toggle one button, which will then reprogram other buttons, so you essentially end up with a second menu in there as well. Now in the box you get all the wiring you need. So you get an accessory wire, which is what turns it on. You get a bunch of cables for your batteries, and then you get your signal cable. Now this goes from the fuse board up to the switch panel, which we're going to keep in the same location on there, and I'm hoping we don't have to extend. If we do, it's only 4 cables, but something worth bearing in mind. The last thing you get with it, which is a nice touch, is you get your fuse, which is obviously a safe thing to do when you're wiring in electrical. Now the last thing you get, which is kind of the pièce de résistance of this, is you get the switchboard assembly, which you pop the cover off like this, and inside you have this. Now as you can see on there, you've got a load of fuses, you've got your positive connections, and you've got your connector there, as well as this, which is the signal for that control panel that we showed you earlier. But ultimately all you do is unscrew, plug the cables in along the bottom on there, mount that on the wall, and then all you take up to your fuse panel, like I said earlier, is that one cable. So ultra simple to install if you're doing it as I've just built the van, or I'm just in the process of building the van. However, obviously we have a fully established electrical system, and as you saw, past me didn't think about future me, so current me is now having to go back and fix past me's problems. And I just had to go under the bed with the help of Jess and relabel everything, which I should have done last time, but didn't. So here we are. But we've done that. Now some of the last things you get in the box, and if you buy one of these, all of these are hidden under the foam in the box. So make sure that you don't throw them away, because that might be a bit awkward for you. So you have to mount the switch panels slightly off the wall. This allows the cables to come out nicely underneath. So what you essentially get is 2 different mounting brackets, and then you also get the mounting brackets for your switch panel. So if you're mounting it to a dash, you've got one that looks like this, which is all pivoting and allows you pretty much to position it wherever you want. Or the one we're going to be doing, even though I might come up with a slightly different solution so you don't see it, is just a flat bar like that. Now something to note is they come in the foam, which is in the bottom of the box. So whatever you do, do not throw those away accidentally, because I nearly did. Now, something I've just discovered when I opened the switch assembly up is the fact that on the inside you get a fuse puller and you get spare fuses, which is a really nice little touch. But yeah, beautiful bit of kit, and what will essentially make something very easy to wire up. So let's crack on with pulling cables and working out where we're going to mount this, because our electrical system takes up a lot of space. We've got 2 batteries, we've got 2 B2Bs, we've got 2 fuse boards, which I'm hoping this will lower some congestion on, which would be quite nice. But let's get it in. Right, I'm going to make this quick because this isn't comfortable, but you can see we've got blue tape on things. They're everything that we're going to move onto the Auxbeam panel. And obviously once I've removed some of these cables, that means that I can tidy it all up and make it look a bit prettier. Like I said, tidy wiring, not my forte. So let's start ripping it apart and see what we can sort out. well, you can imagine this is about as uncomfortable as it kind of looks, really. We've got the basics connected up to that for what I'm going to do, so I reckon it's time to hook those up to the batteries and see what it does when you turn it on. Now, if any of you have never done this before, keep the run as short from the battery to the fuse as you can, because that way more of the cable is fused. Now, getting these batteries is going to be interesting because I'm going to have to try pulling them out because they're stacked and the stacking space isn't actually that big. It's going to be quite difficult to try and do it in situ. The other thing as well, if you've never done a lot of electrical, always make sure your connections are tight, because shorting creates heat. And heat obviously creates fire, so keep things as short as possible. So you've got your inline fuse in, obviously that's open just for the purposes of installing, and then we've got our ground cable. So let's get it connected. I'm still not entirely sure where it's going to mount, but we'll figure that out when we get there. So you've got the battery straps popped off, and what we're going to do is everything in this setup, batteries are connected together, and then each thing goes off from negative on one battery and positive on another. So it keeps a nice redundancy and it splits nicely as well between the two. So we've got all our cables here, let's get them attached and then crack on with the installation. So I'm going to connect this first because when you pop this cover on, you can't actually get to the any of the buttons. So what I'll do is I'll connect this up to the Auxbeam panel first, just to make sure that when I connect the battery end and it's tucked all the way through, that we don't have any shorts. In theory I can still get to it, but just trying to make it easier for myself. Now, something quite useful this comes with is this, and what this is a cable that goes from the panel to generally your cigarette lighter or something like that if you're using it in like a four-wheel drive application, or just lights. Now, to do that, it comes with this, which is a fuse tap. Now, if you're not familiar with this, all this does is plug in place of another fuse and creates like a piggyback off it. So if you look at this, you can see here the fact that there is two prongs here which will go into your fuse box, and this replaces your new fuse that you need to go along this wire to the Auxbeam unit, and then here there is a second slot down the side, and what that is for your original fuse to go into. So it allows your original fuse to function, but essentially piggybacks power. This has got a little 5 amp one in it. I'd be surprised if it even pulls that to turn it on. All it's using it for is a signal wire to then go straight to the unit to tell it when to turn on. Now obviously, because it's a camper van, we want it on all the time because we want it to work whenever, not when the van ignition's on. So what I'm going to do is run the fuse tap off our fuse boards that we've got in there. The downside, most modern cars now run a MIDI fuse, I believe it's called, or a micro bladed fuse. These could be wrong, I'm not entirely sure. But the old style fuses, which I don't actually happen to need to hand, are not this size. I think I've got some spare in the workshop from an old dash cam, so I'm going to run in the workshop, grab that, and then all I'm going to do is plug it into our fuse board and go straight to the Auxbeam unit. So let's go see if we can find that. So I've been for a look in the workshop. You can see this is the mini one, and then that is the bigger one. So that's what we need, and as you can see, it's simply just doubles the fuse, but allows you to take a signal off. Now, I wouldn't use this for high load applications, but something like a signal wire, they're often sold, and this is what this is from, is the dash cam kits. Dash cams obviously use nothing, generally 5 volts, step down, USB, all that kind of thing. So it uses very little current to run something like that, and that's what we recommend this is used for. It is not designed to take anything high load or anything like that. It works very similarly to an extension lead in your house. Eventually it will overload, it will get hot, and you will end up with issues if you're running off this. So, very specific applications for these. All the cables are plugged into the control panel. I know, I appreciate this is a dodgy angle, but as soon as I plug this in, the control panel should come on like that. So it goes through a turn on, and obviously you can see how bright that is. So I think if I press, what have we got set up as what? Main lights should be number 7. I don't know if you can tell, you can sort of see the shadow changing. So number 7, and the lights turn on above. So you can now probably see it is in there. It's kind of hidden away, but it works. So we've got the cable coming up onto the top here. For the minute it's going to go there until I change how that attaches to that cupboard. So as you can tell, this is quite large, and it is significantly bigger than the panel. Now what I don't know is if we're going to end up with a load of hole around the outside, or if I'm going to need to get another plate. If we have to get another plate, then it's what we've got to do. But for the minute, this is going to sit on the worktop. But I reckon it's time to get our fancy dandy stickers on. I know what you're all thinking, they're incredibly bright, and if I turn it all off, which is what that red button does, you can see just how bright they are. They're lighting up the bed. But if you press mode, it turns it off, and all you're left with is that little light. Now so you activate it once, turn it on again, and it turns the lights on. But yeah, that is just how simple it is. Well, and like that, a switch panel's in. So we can control all the lights, we can control the hot water system, control the air ride, air compressor, we can control underglow under the cabinets, so that can all come on and off with the switch of a button. We've got side lights over the sliding door, and then interior, we've got the cab lights that turn on and off as well. Honestly, this is all, it's metal bodied, none of it's plastic. It's a real good piece of kit, is this. The quality of this is absolutely fantastic. Definitely can't knock it, especially for the price, and to be able to control all 12. So we've still got 3 functions free, and these are 2 60 amps, and then I think it's a 30 amp that's still spare. We've still got quite a lot of expansion that we can still do. We might run some of the lights off it, and then stick the remote control panel, this one in the cab. It's also got a magnet built inside as well, so if you've got anything metal, for example door, it sticks to the door. And this works just in the same way, where if I change that, you can see things going on and off like that. And that is what we're looking like. We've got a hot water one still to go in here, these 3 are spare, and I think that one's spare as well. But it's starting to come together. But now we need to show you how to use the app, because that's the next job. Because all this is colour changeable and controllable from your phone. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go into your app store, and then you simply need to search for switch panel, and then it'll pop up at the top there. Obviously I've already downloaded it in the past, but for the purposes of this, it's we'll re-download it again. Right, now that's finished downloading, open the app. It'll ask you if you want to use Bluetooth, click allow, and then obviously you've got your selection of controllers. Obviously we've got the 12 volt controller, tap the Bluetooth toggle on, you can see we've got that, double tap on there, and then you are into the app. Now if you pull the little thing around, you can change the colour. If I pick you up and show you, so if I change that around, you can see the colours changing on there. Now you have got preset colours at the bottom of the screen, where you can change all the different colours that you've got that are sort of presetted already. Now the next thing you can go into is, if you go into icons, you can go in here and you tap on the switch. So let's say switch number 8, which is that one there. If I choose default icon, I can go into that and I can set it to lights when I find where they are. These, I mean, you can see just how many options there actually is on this. It's just ridiculous. Interior light 1, there we go, select. And then if I go back into there and tap that, that is your interior lights on and off, which is very nice and simple. So obviously I need to do that for the whole of our panel. The last thing to show is that if you go into mode, obviously here you've got toggle, momentary and pulsed. So if I click that one and choose momentary and then tap it on here, you can see it flashes. If I click interior lights and change it to pulsed, now you get a slider at the bottom and that controls how fast it pulses. So if I turn the lights on, you can see it does that. If I move that all the way up, you can see it basically goes into like a hazard warning system, which I will stop straight away. Which now should be toggle, and that's back to normal. Last thing you can do is you can group. So I believe you can click one button and then that will allow you to group other buttons together to create more functions within the menus. And that is it. It's as simple as that. You just go into the app, connect to it, and you can control everything like that. Another example of icons, just to show the sheer amount that you can pick from, is that if I click in switch number 4 and do default icon, you can change that to air compressor, because we've got our air ride for the rear of the van attached to this. So now if I go into the app and tap air comp, you should be able to hear that the air compressor in the back of the van has kicked on. Tap it again, turns off. Perfect bit of kit. So, I do just want to thank Auxbeam for sending that to us. Again, they've been an absolutely amazing supporter of our channel and we can't thank them enough. I will maintain that the kit is just unbelievably good quality. Everything's metal bodied, everything's nicely finished, nothing scratches easily, all the screws that come all feel decent, all the crimps on ours were good. Give a good tug on the crimps that were on the battery cables and stuff like that. Nothing came loose, nothing came off. Just like the wiring kits for the lights, you can't fault them. We absolutely love it and I'm really happy with how this has turned out. One button and it just turns on and off. Don't forget you can control this by the panel, control it by the remote control, and you can control it by your phone. It's absolutely brilliant. Worth noting as well, they do an 8-gang and a 4-gang, and I believe if you buy the 4 gangs you can do twin controllers. Like the remote we've got on top of the kitchen, you can have 2 of them. So ideally we'd have one in the front and then one up in the top corner. Obviously we've not managed to do that. I've run out of time for today. It's already, I think, 7:30 at night, and I've been down here since lunchtime. So I'm about done with working on electronics for the day. But yeah, eventually what we'll do is fill in the hole on the end of that cupboard, probably by another metal panel, and then attach the Auxbeam control panel to it. There is loads of cable on it. I mean, I was expecting, and I think I said in the start of the video, I was expecting to need to extend it. Don't have to do that. There's plenty of cable to go all the way up and probably get all the way to there if we wanted to put it towards the front of the van. Again, all nicely done cables. It's all nicely in sheathing and it's just something that it works. It's a great product and I really wish we'd have started our van build with this, because ultimately it's a very easy product. It stays right next to the fuse board. You don't have to bring cables right up like I had to and then back down to the item and all the rest of it. Everything stays near the batteries, near your fuse board, and it's way neater. Single cable straight up to the top of the cupboards. I mean, I wish we could have had that. We've got a loop that comes down here that is a good chunk of cables from things going forward to the lights, for all sorts really. It all sort of channels along that top corner. Highly recommend it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.